Hello and welcome to the Sales Track Partner Certification for Webroot Secure Anywhere Business Endpoint Protection. My name is Paul Herpka and I'll be your narrator today. We appreciate you taking the time to learn more about our product and how it will help secure your customers. So first, let's look at the business problem that requires people to use next-generation endpoint protection. We're seeing an exponential growth in new unknown threats. These numbers are found daily. So now let's look at what's wrong with the traditional approach, where people are using signature-based protection. So when we look at the traditional approach, they're going to have an AV client on the PC, and it's going to have a local database of all the local signatures. Those are signatures of already known threats. So they're going to take a new file that they're running, get the signature, and compare that to their local database. If it's not found in the database and there's no signature found, then they'll assume that that file is good and allow it to run. Only when there's a signature found and it matches their local database will they block or stop that malware. Another issue is local databases, they need to be updated all of the time. So they're constantly doing remote updates to all the different endpoints or PCs throughout your environment. That takes up local space, local resources, and local CPU. Over time, those continue to grow and not only slow down your local PC, but also take up a lot of precious network bandwidth. Those are some of the issues that people have with the traditional approach or signature-based antivirus. The other fact is most of the malware out there is exponentially growing, but it's also polymorphic, meaning that the malware is different or changed or unique to a specific endpoint every time it gets copied or duplicated over. That basically renders signature-based security obsolete. So the issue is malware out there is polymorphic, meaning it always changes. So let's look at how the Webroot solution works. All of our products are driven by a smarter cybersecurity we call the Webroot Threat Intelligence Platform. This platform is hosted on Amazon so that we have data centers throughout every region in the world, for EMEA, for APAC, and for the Americas. One of the things that we're going to look at are all the inputs to our Webroot Threat Intelligence Platform. The first input is our Internet Sensor Network. We have millions of Internet sensors throughout the world, all over the different regions. We use those to collect information and data on what malware is actually being seen and how it behaves out in the wild. We also engage a lot of those to be set up as small businesses or home-based businesses that are basically a honeypot where we're using it as bait to catch the bad guys. We also have our global threat databases. These are databases that include not only free but also paid-for lists that we import as well. When we import those, we don't just take them for granted or as gospel. We actually look at them and compare them to our lists and say, okay, is there new information on this new list that we don't already have in our threat intelligence platform? If so, then we go out and verify that, find out is it good, is it bad, what is it today, and then add that to our threat intelligence. The next input is our security partners. For our security partners, those are people that use our threat intelligence to make their product better. As an example, a Palo Alto Network firewall may use our threat feeds to make their firewall more effective for each specific office. When it does that, we're actually seeing all the threats that are hitting that firewall. So again, all of the threats that all those customers are seeing, we're also seeing and adding to our threat intelligence platform. And then finally, we have all of our Webroot customers. So the millions of customers already using a Webroot product, we're seeing all the threats that are hitting them, and again, adding that and updating our threat intelligence every day, every minute. So the second thing we use is machine learning. And we use that because of the huge volume of numbers that you saw on the previous slide. Because there's so much going on, we actually use that machine learning to help with the accuracy and the massive scale that we're going through. We're using machine learning to help capture, analyze, classify, and then publish all the findings that we have. So there we have all our internal databases that explain all the information on our internet, our URLs, our IP, on our files, are they malicious or not, and on our mobile applications. The next thing we do is we add contextual analysis. This is a further step to enhance our data and make sure that our threat intelligence is up to date and also as accurate as possible. So we look at it from multiple vectors or multiple places. We're now looking at, let's say I get a bad file. Okay, what URL did that come from? What IP address did that come from? And that gives us further information about IPs and URLs and where this malicious file is coming from. And finally, we have our services. So this is the collective threat intelligence that we actually offer through our original equipment manufacturer partnerships. This is where we sell our threat intelligence to make other products better. We also have our Bright Cloud Threat Intelligence services where we can use an API for any of our threat intelligence feeds. So that might be our IP reputation, our URL reputation, our URL classification, our file reputation, or our mobile app reputation. We have a lot of those, and we'll cover those in a different section. So as you can see, this creates a continuous loop where all of the threats that are being seen by our technology partners are then analyzed, captured, and put into and enhancing our threat intelligence. So this again is called our Webroot Threat Intelligence Platform. As we learned, all of our products are driven by our Webroot Threat Intelligence Platform. So we garner the global collective threat intelligence in real time to power all of our products. We've got our endpoint protection product, Secure Anywhere Endpoint Protection. We've got our mobile protection product. We've got our web security service. And finally, we've got our threat intelligence services for the OEM arena. So today we're going to focus on our endpoint protection called Secure Anywhere Business Endpoint Protection. This solution works on Windows, desktops, laptops, and servers, as well as Mac desktops, laptops, and servers. One of the concepts we want to talk about is how we handle files. So when a file tries to execute, what do? In this first example, we're going to talk about good file handling. So let's say there's a file that tries to execute on one of our endpoints. This endpoint is protected by the Webroot Secure Anywhere Business Endpoint Protection agent. That agent will realize that that file is new and will actually create the file hash. So it'll calculate the MD5 file hash and use that to send it up to our Webroot Threat Intelligence Platform, or in short, I'll call the cloud. Then the cloud will come back and let us know, is that a known good file, a known bad file, or an unknown file which it has never seen before yet. In this case, it's a known good file which it's seen before, and so we allow execution and we let the user continue along their way and go about their business. Now let's take a look at how we would handle a bad file. Same way, our agent would find out this is a new file trying to execute, so it would calculate the MD5 hash and send that up to the cloud, getting an answer back. Now, some people ask, how quickly does that happen? Well, that actually happens in 1/10 of a second. So we get the answer back, whether it's good, bad, or unknown, in less than 1/10 of a second on average. In this case, it's a known bad, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually block the process, put it into quarantine, and then send up additional metadata to the cloud. Some people ask, what is that metadata? The metadata is actually things like what was the file name, what directory was it put into, what URL did it come from, or what IP address did it come from. So this just helps us in calculating our threat intelligence about IPs, files, URLs, etc. So finally, let's look at the unknown file handling. In this case, we have a new file that the agent determines needs to be checked. So we calculate the MD5, we send that up to the cloud and get our response. And in this case, the cloud says, you know what, that's a new file for us as well, that's an unknown. So this is what we would call a 0-day or a brand new file that's executing and has been developed and is running today. In this case, we're going to do several things. The first thing is we're going to look at that file header and see what kind of activity is it going to do, what things is it going to touch. Then we're going to allow it to execute in a mode we would call protected execution. This means that we have all of our shields up, so we're letting it execute normally, but we're protecting the sensitive areas of the computer to make sure they don't get damaged. At the same time, we're also going to start journaling actions. Examples of things we might journal would be what's running in memory, any registry edits, and anything on our local hard drive. In the same time, we're going to be sending up metadata in the background up to our threat intelligence platform. Again, this is just information about what was the file name, where was it stored, what IP address, what URL did it come from, etc. Simultaneously, we're also going to be looking at behaviors. So we've got behavioral analysis going on to see are there any bad behaviors that this new file is taking. So all of these things are happening in real time, all at the same time to help protect. So we've got multiple layers. We've got our behavioral analysis, our protected execution with our multiple shields, as well as our journaling of specific types of actions. So let's look at another scenario. In one case, we might find through that local behavior that the file is behaving badly. It takes an action that we know is a known bad, and so we're going to determine it to be bad, mark it as such, and go ahead and block it. Another example is that it may be a virus or a malware that has been programmed to lay low for 30 days. In that case, we may have only downloaded it 15 days ago, but another person somewhere else in the world may have downloaded it 30 days ago, and now we found out that in fact it is bad. At that point, we would let this agent know, hey, this file has been determined bad, and now we're going to go ahead and block it. So now we're going to block the process, put it into quarantine, and then we're going to roll back any changes that we've seen in our journal. If it's taken multiple steps before the major bad act, then we'll have those to roll back, and if not, many times we'll actually stop it on the first bad action. So the next natural question is, well, what about offline? Well, offline, we still protect you. So whether you're running a new file, a file from USB, or an unknown file, we're still going to protect you. We're going to allow that protected execution, where again, we do pre-execution and look at the file header, and then we allow it to actually execute with all of our shields protecting the sensitive areas. I oftentimes tell people it's kind of like if you're in a bank, right? We would let someone come in and do whatever they're going to do, but we're going to monitor those secure areas. So the vault where the money is, behind the tellers where all the cash is, right? Or in the back offices, if anyone's going into those areas, we're going to stop them and block them. Same thing on our PCs. We're going to be monitoring those sensitive areas and then block them if they're taking actions that are inappropriate. Again, that's where we have our behavioral analysis. We're looking for those bad actions that can help us determine it to be bad. And in the background, of course, we're also doing our journaling of actions. Should any of these result in something where we know it's bad, we're going to indicate that that file or process is now bad. We're going to block the process and put it into quarantine, and then we're going to roll back any of the changes that we see in our journal. One other thing that I need to tell you is that we do have the ability to notify and alert that, hey, we want to block this page, and then as the user you can decide, yes, you want to get out of there, or no, you want to continue to that page anyway. So it's just a way that we can alert, and we can do that for being in offline mode and say any new file, any USB file or a file run from a USB media or any unknown file we want to alert on, so we're protecting the user and they can make an informed decision. So now let's look at some of the key differentiators for Webroot. The first one is our real-time anti-phishing protection. This actually stops polymorphic phishing attacks with over 99% effectiveness even when the user clicks on a phishing link. We all know that happens. As much as we train, we can't stop that. So again, that's the value of this real-time anti-phishing protection. The next differentiator is our ID Shield. This is used to help protect your identity and your privacy. This protects credentials and other sensitive data from being stolen when using a web browser. You can also assign or nominate other applications if you want to use Identity Shield for them. And finally, we have our journaling and rollback. So this is our automatic remediation. What we do here is we help identify and contain zero-day or unknown threats, and we do this by rolling back any of the stuff that we've journaled, so it's as if they were never on the PC in the first place. So as a review, our endpoint protection is light, fast, easy, and efficient. It's lightweight because we have the lightest agent in the market. It's under 1 megabyte in size and even fully installed 2 megabytes. It's also very fast. It installs in seconds and it scans on average in under 2 minutes. It's very easy to manage with no definitions, no management servers to set up. It's 100% cloud-based technology and has a self-updating agent. It's efficient because not only does it stop malware, but once that malware is determined to be bad, we're going to automatically remediate or reverse the changes that malware made before we determined it to be malicious. So this makes it like it was never on our PC in the first place. So what's the value to our customers? So the value to our customers and our partners is that it saves time and money, reduces frustration, and reduces risk. We see here in the quote that they saw a 75% decrease in security-related tickets, including endpoint infection reports. That's huge. Also, they had no more costs for repairing infected systems. So again, we're really trying to make things easier for you as a partner, as well as better for your customers. Also, they had no more calls from customers about bad performance and slow systems. You gotta love that. And now what's our value to the MSPs? One partner said this is greater management control, and that's what they were looking for. One of their engineers said, it just works. It's easy to use, and once it's installed, we can forget about it. We have much more confidence in it than insert another security vendor name. So why do MSPs choose Webroot Secure Anywhere? Well, the first reason is it's a true cloud-based threat intelligence platform, which means they don't have to install servers at different customer locations. They literally just have to log in and can use it through our GSM console. It also has comprehensive 0-day or 0-hour protection. Our engine again is self-updating, and we have high-performance endpoints with high efficacy. We do advanced whitelisting for real-time monitoring, and we have no conflict with existing security software. That means you can have a different security software already on there, pick your AV vendor, and you can load our software on there at the same time. That's unique to Webroot. Other products, you're going to have to pull off the original product and put on the new product, leaving a window of unprotection in there. So this allows you to do a seamless migration. You can have your first software that you already had on there. You install our Webroot software as a second net, and then once you see how well that works, you just don't renew the first software, and when you finally take that off, you've got the full protection, you've had a seamless migration. The last point is that it's MSP-centric. So again, 100% cloud-based management, as well as easy integration to RMMs or PSAs. So whatever your favorite RMM is, if you're using one, we can integrate to that. Either we're already integrated, or we can use our new Webroot Unity API for easy integration. In the end, what that means is lower costs, bigger profits, and higher customer satisfaction. One of the key things we do is remove the obstacles to profitability. So we have our Global Site Manager console, and that allows MSPs to do a lot of the things they wanted to do. It was, in fact, designed by MSPs. It gives you that multi-layered management, fully independent license management. So if you want to do a trial, you can do a trial right away with no other interaction, no waiting for approvals here or there. You just go ahead and do either a full rollout or a trial. You also have a single pane of glass integration. So if you're using an RMM, we again have integration for those, or can use our simple to use Unity API. We also have great support. One of the things that we're constantly getting feedback on in our Net Promoter Scores is, wow, we love your support. You really care about the customers. We have one call, fully integrated technical support, and we resolve most of our tickets in less than 10 minutes. That's pretty cool, and we get great feedback. And more importantly, we have a lot of satisfied customers. So some of our customers in the US, the first quote was the most complete and robust platform we have installed to date. That's refreshing to hear. Also, the best experience I've had with any software or service. Or, it continually finds malware when other products have failed. I love hearing that one. So who's using Webroot? Well, in EMEA, we see that 30% of the MSP Mentor top 500 MSPs use Webroot, and that's more than any other security technology vendor. So as you can see, Webroot delivers next-generation endpoint security and threat intelligence services to protect businesses and individuals in a connected world.